70's and 80's TV and the effect it had on me. This week on Dave J. Tuesday.
That's just a prelude of what's to come here tonight on Dave J. Tuesday, at which I will welcome you. I am Dave J., your old pal from New York City, songwriter, performer, storyteller, characters, and it is Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021. Welcome to another installment. Glad you could make it. Please let us know how you're doing and who you are and where you are and what it is you're up to tonight besides hanging out with us. Of course, there must be other things going on. You can multitask, can't you? Well, let us know all of the above in the commenter section below. Oh my, last week we presented to you the 70s and 80s television that affected me as a child, perhaps affected you in your life, and that was part one. Tonight we bring you part two. Let's not delay. Let's start in my childhood, as we did last week. When I was a kid of the 70s, there were a lot of shows that I grew up loving, and some of those shows you can see right around me here. Why, there's Emergency. That was like an ambulance show. You know, there was always ambulances and lawyers chasing them, no doubt. And then, of course, This Way. I can't get it wrong if I use both, right? Nope, that's the way. The Rookies. Oh, yes. What a fine-looking crew. Yes, the Rookies were new police officers. And I somehow feel there may have been a crossover show with Emergency, but don't quote me on that. They just all... Can you see a theme going here? I used to go play with my friend David Barnett. And David and I would run around his yard. He had this brick wall between him and his neighbors, and we would be like with the fake guns, the finger guns, and we'd be like the Rookies. And then, of course, once we'd shoot each other, we'd call for the emergency crew to come in. Of course, the show right down there, that's SWAT. And as I mentioned last week, a lot of great theme songs back in the 60s, 70s, and so forth, and SWAT was no exception. Let's check it out and groove. Broadcast. Maybe I'm starting to joke there. The theme song. Everything's opposite on my end. Okay, I think you've heard enough of this song, right? Fantastic. Okay. Of course, the show that I grew up on, that I know Beetle Mike grew up on as well, because by the time I saw it, it was in syndication in the 70s. As I've told you many times already, this was the show that led me wanting to go into showbiz early on. Let's see if you can guess what it is.
Here we come, walking down the street. We get funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, hey, we're the monkeys, and people say we monkey around.
Yes. Can you say copyright claim? Okay, moving along. My childhood was rife with great television, and it wasn't always in the form of a sitcom, say like The Monkees. But you know what it all had in common? It all had the mystique and the tradition, in some way, shape, or form, of the variety show. And the Monkees took the music and the shtick and the costumes and everything and put it all in a sitcom. But then there were shows that were a huge influence on me that were more of a variety show in the way vaudeville had been. A variety of acts. There was a show when I was a kid that had singing, dancing, comedy, shtick, ice skating, even, if you can believe it. And there was a bit from that show that was always one of my favorite bits, and I'm going to show you that bit now. Enjoy.
Hello, Marie. How you doing?
Hello, Donny.
How's it going?
I'm fine.
Marie, in every television series, there's one particular moment that you always look forward to right from the beginning,
Donny, what's behind your back? Let me see.
This is the moment.
Are you going to throw that pie at someone?
Yep.
Donny, how ordinary.
What do you mean?
I mean, hitting a person with a pie just is not your image.
You trying to talk me out of it, huh?
No, of course not. But I mean, you could be more original. Why don't you go for a television first? Instead of hitting a person with a pie, why don't you hit a pie with a person?
Pie with a person? That's ridiculous. How can you hit a pie with a person?
I thought you'd never ask. Hey, guys, come here.
Wait a minute. What's going on? Marie!
Did those Osmonds have fun or what? I think I'm going to convert to Mormonism. That must be what it is. I don't know. Anyway, I loved Donny and Marie. And hey, who didn't have a crush on Marie? Did you have a crush on Marie? Let me know in the comments section below. Beetle Mike is already saying, Donny and Marie, how funny, with several exclamations. And those exclamations are deserved, because they just had it all going on there. They were good-looking kids. They had the talent, and they had the TV show with the variety, and that is an equation equaling wow! Exclamation. Adam Slavitt mentions F Troop. The Civil War was near when, quite coincidentally, F Troop. That was for you, Mr. Adam Slavitt. I wish I knew all the words. But I will tell you, I did get to go to the Friars Club a number of times in the last 15 years, a couple of times at least, and Larry Storch was there, man, about 100 years old, Larry Storch, who was the funny guy. He was Agarn, something like that was the name of his character. Of course, that was one of the great shows that we watched in syndication as kids. There were shows like that weren't those I think of immediately as favorites, like Donny Marie, and of course Get Smart, as I mentioned last week, and even SWAT. But then there were shows like F Troop where you'd be homesick from school, as was the case in 4th grade. I vividly remember this. I was sick home from school, and you have the cable box, literally with a cable going to the TV, and you have 3 rows to switch from, and you have all these, and you're switching around. And of course, Mayberry FD. That's right. The what was the name of that show with the Andy Griffith Show? Happened to be a particular episode on when I was homesick from school. True story. 4th grade. This episode killed me. And why did it kill me? That's in the comedic sense, of course. I'm still here talking to you. You get it, right? Okay. Knock wood. Don't kind of horror me, my father's already saying over there. This episode, Don Knotts outdid himself comedically, and he made me laugh so hard that I never forgot this episode. It's, I'm going to give you a little taste of it now. I edited down a clip. Check out what happens in this episode.
You there?
What's that?
That's Jimmy's rope. He's been here all right.
He has?
Yeah, what's more, he had lunch here.
Lunch? You mean he ate dynamite?
Fudge said he'd eat about anything, and he sure did.
And are you saying that
Somewhere wandering loose around Mayberry is a loaded goat.
a goat full of dynamite? What are we gonna do?
Well, the main thing is to stay calm.
That's right. Nothing to worry about. No sense getting in a panic. Just stay calm and cool. There he goes!
That's just blasting on the highway.
70's and 80's TV.
Crap. All right, hey, it's all right because we're live and that kind of thing happens. Now, the way I remembered this episode, because it was the only time I ever saw that episode where the goat ate dynamite. As the episode progresses, Don Knotts gets more and more upset and animated as he's sure the goat is going to explode. And he starts going crazy, saying, "The goat's gonna go kaboomer!" And let me give you that a little bit in a close-up in camera too. "The goat's gonna go kaboomer!" Okay. This killed me so hard as a kid. I mean, I was cackling like a fool with an E on the end. And so much so, this was such an effective bit for him that by the end of the episode, at least as I remembered it, he just started walking into scenes going, "Kaboomer!" And it would just floor me, the fourth grade-year-old me, if you will. So, just a postscript to this story is, I had mentioned this to my buddy from college, Phil Rainville, a.k.a. 5 Rainville. We had a band idea called The Ones, and we all had funny number names. I was -1, he was 5, and then there was Dave Dennis, who was 1/11th, the most perfect fraction. That was his name, which I always loved. And then Steve Zavechin was 7 chins, because actually if you looked at the clef in his chin, there was an actual 7. Anyway, I digress, as I am wont to do. Want, W-O-N-T, word of the day.
Word of the day.
I love that word of the day. Don't you? Of course you do. And you're already mentioning in the comment section below, other shows that you enjoyed, such as Carol Burnett. Good night, everybody. And what other shows have we got here? We've got JPL, Jen Pilecchio-Lakoyak. Welcome to the proceedings. Always a pleasure to have you from down south. I always forget which Carolina you're in. I want to say north, but as soon as I say north, I think, no, it must be south. I don't know. Well, one of the that's why I play it safe typically and don't give it away like I just did. Oh, she lives in the Carolinas. You know, I'm a Northeastern boy. What do you want from me? In any case, it doesn't matter because I'm glad to have you here. And you say, so I remember Donnie's purple socks. Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to confide in you a memory. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Don't feel bad. All these years later, I probably made a big crying fit at the time. Stephen Glicksman, my best friend from when I was little, had his birthday there in September, and we, of course, had to buy him a present at his party. We bought him the Donny doll. Well, I never had the Donny doll. I wanted the Donny doll. You got him the Donny doll? The Donny doll had purple socks, JPL. You see, that's why it's coming up in the memory/trauma department. I'm fine. It wasn't the Donny doll that did me in. Anyway, let's continue with the show, shall we? Adam Slavitt is all in the family. A fine choice, Mr. Norman Lear. And I've covered that theme song before, and not tonight, but perhaps in future shows. Now that you mention it, Adam Slavitt, continue to tune in, and I'll do what I can to bring that theme song to you. I know Bupkis performed it some time ago, and maybe I can bring that to you as well. Beetle Mike is just given a capital LOL because, my goodness, the man loves to laugh. Continuing on, and speaking of laughter, as we progressed in age, my brother and I would watch TV together. And there's a show and a particular episode I remember watching with my brother that I laughed as hard or harder than with that goat's gonna go kabloomy. Oh, you know what? I never mentioned the story. That's right. Let me get to that. Doesn't matter how much time we have left and how much stuff I've got to get to. We've always got show for you fine folks because there's always more show to do. Okay. 35 years old. Check that. Reverse it. 34 years old Dave J. He's saying to himself, you know what? I'm going to be 35 in 3 months. And you know what? I've never had a surprise party. You know, one of my other best friends from childhood, as an adult, Michael Zakor, used to throw his own birthday parties. Boy, did I used to say to myself, goodness gracious, that man has what's the Yiddish word for it? Tell me in the comment section below. He has the nerve, the balls, he's just gonna do it. That's the point. I'm not judging it. I thought to myself, goodness, I don't know if I'd ever do that. Throw myself my own birthday party? I'd like it if someone threw me the birthday party, but he used to do it. Finally, I'm 34 and several thirds, and I say to myself, goodness, I'm going to be 35. That's a number with a 5 on the end, as we all can admit. Numbers with 0 or 5 on the end are somehow more special in the human brain than the other birthdays or anniversaries, and I don't know why. I think it's because we're bored. I think that's why. In any case, I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to turn 35, and I'm going to throw my own, not just birthday party, I'm going to throw my own, wait for it, surprise party. Yes! I've never had a surprise party. I want a surprise party. I throw a surprise party. I invite a bunch of my friends from different crisscross sections of my life. I send out an invitation from my manager, Dr. Melito Megbian. It's a character I made up. He's got a big handlebar mustache like Raleigh Fingers almost, and the old baseball player. And he talked like this, and I wore a fat suit, and I got a makeup man to make a big fat face for me, you know. And I appeared at the party as Melito Megbian, welcoming all the guests who came, and they did. I had like 40 people there. That was fantastic. And then, and a friend of mine who was a bass player in my band was part owner of this club, and he let me use it, you know, one evening on a weekend. Was fantastic. And whatever day my birthday fell on at 35. And I think it fell on a weekend, which was perfect. I think it was a Saturday, actually. It was the best. I hired this woman from the medical job I had to videotape it. She had a side company, and she absconded with the tapes. And it upset me very much because I really would love to show you that footage now. And what I did was I greeted everybody as Dr. Melito Megbian, and then I said, oh my goodness, I pulled out my cell phone. Oh my goodness, Dave J is going to be here any minute. Everybody come down, you know, and all this. And then I went down this basement, and I pulled off all the makeup, and I dressed up as Dave J, and I went back up through the street exit and through a cellar, and then I came back in through the entrance, and everyone yelled surprise, and it was fan-effing-tastic. It was one of the best things I ever pulled off. I even pre-recorded with my buddy aforementioned, Len Monticello, with whom I recorded, or it might have been Brandon Wild at this point, also aforementioned. I recorded a conversation phone call, like, oh my goodness, Dr. Melito Megbian had to leave, but he called in. Can you put him on speakerphone? And I had a conversation with Melito as myself at the party. Sorry, I had to leave because my client had a roast pork fried rice experiment gone wrong. I made up a thing, a roast pork fried rice experiment gone wrong. It was all comedically and musically wonderful, and everything went great. Why am I blathering and digressing on this one particular whole other event? It's because my buddy Phil Rainville from college, aka 5, bought me a DVD of the Andy Griffith Show that contained the Goat's Gonna Go Kablooey episode. And God almighty, did I laugh just opening the gift. I laughed so hard just from the memory. So now that I've taken 50 minutes of the show to tell you that story, let's continue on, because I was beginning to tell you, as I almost had forgotten this whole story that I just shared with you. Oh my goodness, JPL says North Carolina. Dave, it's North Carolina. Actually, the town that Mayberry was based on. How perfect. I love kismety things like that. And she says it's Mount Airy, not to be confused with the Lodge up in the Poconos. She says Mount Airy, North Carolina, about 2 hours from where I live. A little factoid for me and for you fine folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Continuing on, Beetle Mike says, hey, Jennifer from East Tennessee. Oh, hey, Jennifer. I'm Beetle Mike from East Tennessee. Yes, now I'm catching on. Takes me a while. Slow motor troubles, Mrs. Caddison. Anyway, let's not digress any further, because my brother and I were sitting there one night in the late 70s watching this brilliant TV show with some of the best, must have been some of the best writers, certainly some of the best characters. I'm not going to give it away, because I'm about to show you a part of the best episode, perhaps, that everyone still talks about, who knows this thing, of one of the best sitcoms ever.
Okay, here we go. Hey, give me a little...
Okay, forgive me, because I didn't even set up the clip. I think I should set it up a little for you. It's Taxi, that's the TV show, and Jim Ignatowski, the beloved character played by Christopher Lloyd, had been a one-off character on a previous episode of Taxi where he's a burnout hippie from the 60s, and he becomes a reverend by the time this earlier episode airs. And he marries Latka, played by Andy Kaufman, the foreigner mechanic from the garage, and his wife Simcha, played by the brilliant Carol Kane. And so the character went over so well and was so popular that they brought him back as a regular cast member. And in this episode, this is the first one where they're bringing him in as a regular, and he needs to get his license so that he can drive a taxi cab. And now the people from the garage are there with Reverend Jim, as he was known, to help him get his license. But he needs to take a test in order to get his license, and this leads to some hilarity.
Okay, here we go. Hey, give me a little help on this one.
You forgot your last name?
I've been busy.
Well, what was your father's name?
Ignatowski.
Well, maybe that's your name too.
No, I think you're right. Eyes?
No, don't put two.
Oh, they mean color, don't they? What color are my eyes?
Elaine, you want to take a stab at this one?
Well, you can rule out white.
Call him Brown.
Okie doke.
Okie doke.
Wait, this is a very relative question. I mean, if I were in space, I'd be weightless.
You are in space. Jim, they mean Earth weight. Here, let me help you out, okay? Have you ever experienced loss of consciousness, hallucinations, dizzy spells, convulsive disorders, fainting, or periods of loss of memory?
Well, hasn't everyone?
Mental illness or narcotic addiction?
That's a tough choice.
Okay, that's it. You ready for the test?
I thought this was a test.
No, this is the application.
Oh, man! What does a yellow light mean?
Slow down.
Okay. What? Yellow light mean?
Slow down.
Okay. What does a yellow light mean?
Slow down.
It still gets me to this day. I know Jeremy Noctegal, welcome, my friend. He was right on that, and Beetle Mike obviously loves Reverend Jim. Oh, goodness gracious. It's just, what does he yell? I mean, everybody, every comedian at least, used to do an impression back in the 1980s of Reverend Jim, and I was no exception. I was on the morning announcements in high school, which I'll be telling you about in some episodes from now when I pull the early years part 3 together, the high school years. That's in the works, so stay tuned for that. But we're having too much fun with television right now, and I did the Reverend Jim impression on the announcements. Louie! It was so much fun to do. And everybody did him, as I said. You know, my brother and I were not limited to just watching sitcoms together. No, because my brother and I shared a room early on in Livingston, New Jersey, where we grew up. But then I ended up getting the den as my bedroom. My brother maintained the room then with the television set, and I loved watching TV, so I would happen back into my brother's room even late at night and watch shows like Carson. And on Carson, Johnny Carson, I'm not talking about Kit, you know. Do we have anybody here from the 1800s? Okay. My brother and I used to watch Carson and other shows together. And on Carson, because my brother loved sports, I appreciated sports quite a lot. This was one of the great former sports heroes we watched on Carson. And like on Taxi, we laughed together with this as well.
He was one of the best defensive tackles ever to play the game of football, which he did for 12 years, most of it with the Baltimore Colts. He was All-Pro 4 times, played on 2 championship teams, was inducted in the Football Hall of Fame in 1968. Would you welcome Art Donovan? You played when football was a different kind of game.
When we played, the quarterback threw the ball, and about 5 seconds after he threw the ball, you hit him.
Right.
And the officials say, you know, you're getting close. Don't do it anymore. I'm sorry, I won't do it, you know. 4 plays later, boom, the thing.
You intimidated him in those days, right?
You had it.
Was this the day before you had the cage?
Well, you had a cage. Now you can't even get your fingers in there anymore. They got plastic going around.
See?
They get hurt. They lay on the ground for 15 minutes, and you got the chaplain and the assistant chaplain. And after 15 minutes, the guy jumps up and runs off the field. What all this is all about?
When you played, you guys played hurt. I mean, really hurt.
Well, we had to play. We didn't have that many guys. One time I broke my leg, and 2 weeks after I broke my leg, the coach says to me, you got to play. I said, I can't play. I can't even walk. How the hell am I going to play football? He said, when they snap the ball, fall down. He said, maybe you're lucky somebody will trip over you. Every time they snapped the ball, I fell down. And at the end of the game, the guy playing in front of me says, that's the hell of a move anybody ever put on me. He says, I never touched it all day.
In your days, a lot of guys went out drinking right after the game, or before the game.
We played Bobby Lane, the quarterback for the Lions. He really partied. And we're putting a hell of a rush on him. In the 3rd quarter, we're laying on top of him, and he's hollering at him in his breath. Jeez. It reeked of whiskey, you know? I said, damn it, Bobby, we're going to get drunk smelling your breath. I said, you must have had a hell of a night last night. He said, I had a few at halftime. I think the dirtiest guy I ever saw was the guy that played on my team.
What do you mean dirty? You know, what would he do?
He's dirty. I mean, he'd do anything. He was indecent, really. And he's rushing the passer one time, and he tried to clothesline the guy. I mean, he hit him in the throat.
Right.
Well, he missed his throat, and he hit him in the helmet. And this guy's out on the field. This guy's not even moving. He looked like he was shot to death. And go back in the defensive huddle, he says, damn it, I hurt my arm on that guy. Well, he missed his throat, and he hit him in the helmet, and he broke his arm, broke it right straight through, and played 5 plays with a broken arm.
That's tough.
I'm telling you. The next year, they outfitted him with a steel brace. And we're watching him in the movies going around hitting people like a sledgehammer. The offensive lineman for the Packers named Billy Houghton said to the official, why don't you give the son of a bitch a gun and let him do a clean job?
And I love how it kills Johnny Carson to hear these stories. And we did grow up at a different time, didn't we? And we grew up at a time when football was obviously much different, and they weren't wearing slogans on the field or on their helmet and protesting, and it was a game where, you know, it was for tough guys. And, you know, Beetle Mike, I know that you are a Baltimore Colts fan. I'm wondering if you were a big fan of Art Donovan back in the day. Well, he was inducted in the Hall of Fame in '68, so you might have been too young to see him. You might have seen him when you were really young. I wonder. And of course, as you point out, Judd Hirsch was killing it in that scene. You know what was great? Judd Hirsch was the glue on Taxi to pull it all together. And I'm grateful because my brother and I were very different people, and shows like Taxi and shows like Carson, particularly with the likes of Art Donovan, my brother and I could come together and laugh at the same thing. And it bonded us, I'm sure, other than being blood. But the other thing that bonded my brother and I was just like Art Donovan is emblematic of, was sports in general. And my brother introduced me to the game of football itself. And he's the one who introduced me to the phrase Orange Crush, which described the Denver Broncos defense, which played if I'm not mistaken, it played the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl X. That was the first inclination I had of towards football, because I was watching it with my brother, and I'm like, what's going on here? And he was annoyed because I was asking him too many questions. But eventually I caught on, and I became a New York Jets fan, as I'd already sort of been for years, but I just didn't know the game. Then I got to know the game, and I started to watch every Sunday. And well, you know the New York Jets story. It's age old. It's well, what could be more representative of the New York Jets experience than the 1982 AFC Championship game, in which the Jets played in what was known as the Mud Bowl against the Miami Dolphins. It went something in brief like this.
Intercepted, and that's trying to be a touchdown. A.J. Dewey, what a day for Dewey! It is hard to believe A.J. Dewey, in 6 years in the NFL, has only 2 interceptions. He has 3 today, and that one for a touchdown.
In 6 years, the man had 2 interceptions, I believe he said, and then in one game against the Jets, 3, and then, of course, once again, we don't go to the Super Bowl. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging on a negativity. No, because my brother and I shared a glorious New York Jets moment. In fact, more than one. Before I show you this clip, I'm going to share a memory. My brother had season tickets at Giant Stadium for the New York Jets, and we saw the New York Jets pummel Beetle Mike, I don't know, it wasn't Baltimore anymore, it was the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, 41-0, I believe was the final score, in a playoff game, and it may have been a wild card game, and goodness gracious, my brother and I were just having the best time together, watching our team, the New York Jets. Of course, we didn't end up going beyond that round, I don't believe, but nonetheless, let me get you back to the next clip. The year was 1981. The New York Jets were tied for first place. Excuse me. The Jets may have been a half a game or a game behind the first place team, the Miami Dolphins. The Jets were something like 7-2 or 7-3, and the Dolphins 7-2 or something like that. But the Jets were playing the Miami Dolphins at Shea Stadium in Queens, New York, where we were born, no less. And my brother's pal from school, Carrie Bayer, had a bar mitzvah to go to, and he had season tickets on the 50-yard line, lower tier. And he gave my brother those tickets. And my brother, God bless him, took me. Well, we're losing that game with only moments to go. And what happens? Well, I'm going to leave you hanging until you watch. You'll enjoy.
A sellout of some 60,000, Shea Stadium in New York. The Dolphins, one game in first place in the AFC East, Miami in white. The New York Jets in their green and white. This one for first place. 2 minutes to go here at Shea Stadium. First down, Jets at their 34. They trail by 6. Bruce Harper. Third down, 9. Oh, a good move by Durking to get a first down. Miami leads 15-9. Todd Walker. Complete to Wesley Walker at the 39-yard line. Well, it had that playoff feeling at the very start of the drama of this game, and so it has been played. Shea Stadium, 60,000.
We were not sitting.
Jones at the 12-yard line. 21 seconds and one timeout left. Oh!
Yes.
The Jets have tied it. The extra point is necessary for the victory, and here's Lee. Richard Todd playing with a fractured rib, driving his team into a first-place tie.
Haven't I seen movies ended like this, starring our president, Ronald Reagan, of 25 or 30 years ago? This is just too good to be true.
Walt Michaels, a defensive coordinator. He led the Jets to that dramatic Super Bowl III win. He's telling his defense, stay back. And this apparently the last play of the game. And the game is over. The Jets have moved into a tie for first place. What a game. Now to Brian Gumbel.
Memories don't get richer than that. Beetle Mike says he saw Joe Namath play twice. For goodness sakes, that's amazing, of course, and I'm just happy for you that you got to see the man, the myth, the legend that was Namath. But in my lore and memory, goodness gracious, that memory that you just saw, that I was there in Shea Stadium for, it was a magnanimous experience. Magnanimous, another word of the day.
Word of the day.
That's right. The Shea Stadium itself there, we were jumping up and down at the end of that game. We're number one! Everyone was yelling that. The shake on the stadium. And I know people throw around the word literally a lot these days. They mean figuratively, but they say, I literally put on 700 pounds. I was eating this cake that I loved. You know, they'll say things where they exaggerate, and they'll mean figuratively. Of course, you didn't put on 700 pounds. Sure, you put on 7 to 10 pounds. The way you ate that cake, it was disgusting. You should have, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Well, you liked the cake. I got it. But the point is, it was figurative, not literal. But when I tell you that Shea Stadium was literally shaking, it was literally shaking. The excitement, I can still feel it. The way Joe Namath talks about winning Super Bowl III, and whenever you see him in that documentary, I've seen it a number of times about the way they won, and he's interviewed, and he goes, we did it, you know? And the way the U.S. hockey team that I showed you last week says, we beat those guys, you know? You can viscerally feel it. Well, I viscerally feel it right now, the way that the Jets won that game. Of course, you know, it came to naught because they ended up getting knocked out at some point or other. Yeah, that's right, by the Miami Dolphins. As a matter of fact, 1982. I showed you the clip. Ugh, goodness gracious. Well, what are you going to do? I have so much more to get to, but we're going to have to bring the show in for a landing. Goodness gracious, I've got so much more on the panel that I guess we're going to be left with a part 3 next week. I've got my show cut out for me, but I'm going to give you a little teaser on, oops, well, that's not what I wanted to show you. Where am I? I wanted to give you a little teaser for what to expect, since I have a few moments to wrap up the show. Where is that? Let's see here. Do I have the Tuesday teaser? Oh, it's in the control room. I've rejiggered everything. Here it is. The Tuesday teaser.
Tuesday teaser. Tuesday teaser. Tuesday teaser. Tuesday teaser. Tuesday teaser.
So, the Tuesday teaser for next Tuesday, February the 9th, that will be, God willing, we should all make it that long. Don't give it a Kanahara, I said. Okay. Is Not only did I share memories with my brother, but I shared memories in television with my dad. That coming up next week. Also, speaking of my dad and mom, you know, God bless them, they were very overprotective. And as such, you know, when we were teenagers, you and me, JPL and others, you maybe were going to parties. Something told me Jennifer Pilecchio-Lakowiak was going to parties. Jen Pilecchio-Lakowiak, were you going to parties during the teenage years? You probably were. Not me. I was home watching shows that were on television Friday and Saturday nights, not to mention the Saturday morning shows that I enjoyed as a kid quite a lot. And then, not to mention, I would come home from school during the week and there were shows I would watch. All of that to happen next week. But we're going to have to bring this show in for a landing. And, you know, it's been a couple weeks since I've shared this song with you, but hopefully this show is a nice distraction from all of the kookiness with K's, mind you, and craziness with K's also, mind you, that go on in today's world. And this episode and last week's episode and hopefully next week's episode will be a nice distraction from those things. JPL says, ha! Maybe a few nothing memorable. Maybe a few nothing memorable. I didn't have my glasses on for that. Now I'm catching on. Well, then you know what? You were right up the street. I bet my parents would have let me hang out with you. You know? I used to hang out with Amy Bishkoff as a kid. She was only 2 houses from you, and she was 3 houses from me. You must have been 5 houses from me. Were you 83 Fellswood? I was 90 Fellswood. Right, JPL? Were you 83? You were on my paper route. For God's sakes, you were something like 81, 83, right? Am I right there? And I appreciate you. Actually, JPL, truthfully, you made me feel better. In fact, so much so I'm going to give this special camera too for JPL right now. Oop, the camera seemed to have fallen, and it can't get up. JPL, thanks, you made me feel better. I thought, goodness gracious, I'm a loser because I can't go to party. I can't go out. Joey Frieda came over once and he drank one of my dad's beers. That was a big deal. Sorry, Dad. That Michelob was gone. It wasn't Michelob, it was Budweiser. Bud Light, maybe. I don't know. I'm wasting time because I've got so much more show to get to. I don't have time to get to it, and now we've got to bring the show in for a landing. I never time these things right. Okay. Let's see if she said what number. Yeah, we totally could have hung out. She said, I was 81. Isn't that amazing, JPL? We were friendly. Gina Mutone Jacobson mentions you in that wonderful piece we just put up. God bless her. I love that. Gina Mutone Jacobson. She's the star of that piece. Well, in any case, we had mutual friends. You were friends with the Zakors and the Barry Corbmans along the way. But somehow, we never hung out. I'm coming down to the Carolinas. I can't remember which one. No matter where you are, no matter where I am, we're all one community. Community. That's what I'm trying to say. What's in this mug? Hey, by the way, speaking of this mug, if you want to get one for your very self, it's right here at Zazzle.com. Yeah, that's right. Zazzle.com/store/Dave_J. Impossible to remember. I hope you had a Flair pen ready to write it down. Okay. Why can't we be one community? Why we're always breaking in 3? Why can't we be one community? I'm talking about you and me. Put down your dukes. Put down, pick up the pieces of your life. Put down the nukes and the gun, rope tongue, missile bullet, knife. Why can't we be one community? Why we always breaking in 3? Why can't we be one community? And I'm talking about you and me. me to sleuth, 'cause I detect bullshit when shove comes to push. Why can't we be one community? Why can't we be... She says, come on down. The food that you cook, JPL, and you post on Facebook, we're coming. Kumi, pack the bags. We're going down to the Carolinas. After the whole COVID thing blows over, of course. 'Cause anyone is someone when there's someone there to need you. You're the one who freed you all the while. That's why I ask, why can't we be one community? Why can't we be one community? Why can't we be one community? One community. All right, folks, thanks so much. We've gone over time, and we're going to pay for it in food stamps. That's right. We've got a collection of them. We're willing to pay off in food stamps. We've made a deal with the government. We'll give the food stamps to... What am I making this up for? It's nonsense. A little nonsense now and then. Something by the wisest men, as Willy Wonka told you last week. But next week, more Dave J. Tuesday. Till then, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. This is one of the pinnacles of my week. It means a lot to me, so God bless. Take good care. I'm Dave J. You're you. Say who you are in the comments section below. And until next time, I'll see you on Dave J. Tuesday. Thank you.